Yes, it is. Yeah, actually, we usually have it on television, but we don't tonight. So. Just make sure. Okay, so I just want to go through and mark who's attending tonight. And your name is, I'm sorry. Oh, Kathleen, how are you? I'm Bill Ambrosino, Kathleen. So Kathleen's here. I'm here, I think. Bob Sweet, Lisa Hilton. Ellen Agro.
It's funny listening to you.
Anthony Davis.
Little time delay.
Looks like Tom Morelli. PG, who's that? Tony Jenna. All right. Bob Sweet, okay. +1. Just so I can make sure that we have a quorum this evening. I'm going to list off the names if anyone can let me know that they're here. Ann Mazar. No Ann tonight. Anthony Davis is here, right?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Brett Tebow? No. Dan Byer cannot be on tonight. Elizabeth Morgante?
Jennifer, but yes, I'm here.
Jennifer Morgante, okay.
Close enough.
I was getting confused in that. The email.
I know. It's my middle name in my email. Throws everybody off.
All right. So Jennifer's here. Ellen, Kathleen, Kathy Schofield.
Present.
Kathy's here. Lonnie is not. Leanna Moore. She was having trouble getting on, but I'll keep my eye out for her. Matthew Cody. Nick Ciantra. Patrick Doherty.
Patrick's here.
Patrick is here. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we meet the quorum. Okay, so Dominique, you out there somewhere? Emily, you're there, right?
Hi there, Bill. Sorry about that. I was on mute. Yeah, I'm here with you all tonight. Emily is also.
Just to let everybody know that everybody's been appointed tonight by the planning board. So you're all set. I believe if Ellen, at some point, everybody is going to need to go to the town clerk's office and
Come get sworn in.
get sworn in and receive their
conflict of interest.
yeah, the conflict of interest in
The
open
ethics training.
I think I sent them out originally, but I'm sure legally Ellen has to give them to you so she can record that you received them.
Bill, if we've already done it for other town appointments, do we need to repeat it as well for the master plan?
No, you do not.
Okay, great, thank you.
But you
Okay,
still need to be sworn in.
yeah, you need to be sworn in. You don't need to do the open meeting law and stuff.
All right,
Right.
so the plan.
So with that being said, I'll let you take it, Dominique.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for having us here tonight. I'm Dominique. I'm from the Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, joined by my colleague Emily Globitz. I know we've met a number of you, also some new names. Looking forward to working with you. So a little bit of background. So we have been working with Bill and Mendon to try to get your master planning effort off the ground. CMRPC originally was working with the town of Mendon when it approached the development of master plan a number of years ago. That stalled out for various reasons. We were able to help the town get a grant to cover consultant time and services for this initiative. So we're delighted to be here with all of you. Following, I think, on the agenda, we've been looking at potentially doing a quick around the room to get to know each other, see who's on the committee. So I guess I'll start. I'm a principal planner at CMRPC. I've been there 7 years. I love comprehensive planning, and it's nice to meet you guys.
Emily, you next?
Sure, I can go. Hi, I'm Emily Globitz. I'm an associate planner at CMRPC. I've been with this organization about 4 years and worked on a number of comprehensive plans. So I also really enjoy this process, getting a really full scope of the towns that we work with in our region, and really excited to get going on this. And yeah, I think that's it.
I'm Bill Ambrosino. I chair the planning board and have been on this endeavor to get this master plan done for a number of years. My goal is to make sure it comes to fruition this time. In the past, I wasn't as directly involved as I am. I'm going to be in this round, but it's something I think that's important to the town. It's certainly important to the planning board, because it's hard for the planning board to direct what they're doing without the input from the community. So I think one thing I'd like to mention is we all, have particular things we do and don't like about Mendon, and we always want everybody's opinion because you guys are part of the community. I just want everybody to understand that we need to collect the information from the community and allow them to tell us what they want. Mendon as a whole. So we need to respect everybody else's opinion and gather as much information we can so we can come to a final result. But hopefully that can happen, and in the end, the community, in the next 5, 10, 15 years can develop into what everybody's expectation is. Next, I will hear from Anthony Davis.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Anthony Davis. Been part of Mendon for a number of years and looking forward to be a part of this development and helping my community.
Great, thank you, Anthony. Jennifer?
Hey guys, I'm Jennifer Morganti. I've been in Mendon only about 2 years. I currently work, I have a background in HR technology, so I'm kind of excited to bring a unique perspective. And I have tons of kids, so if somebody flies in here half naked, disregard it. It's fine. Nice meeting you all.
Next would be Ellen. Good.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ellen Agro. I am the town clerk, and I'm also the chair for the Taft Library Trustees. And I'm also the admin for the ZBA. So I feel like I have a lot of different hats I can throw into the ring for this group. And I'm looking forward to helping plan the future of Mendon.
Well, I mean, if I can interject, Ellen's a terrific town clerk, and she's definitely, I'm probably driving her nuts, but that's, par for the course.
It's all good, Bill.
Kathleen Nicholson. Oh. Yeah, sure. Kathleen's with us here tonight, so you're gonna get to see her face live. You can grab that chair.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Nicholson. I just joined the committee, and thank you, Bill, for
Oh, no problem.
leading this up. We've been in Mendon, it'll be 18 years in August, and have really been involved mostly on the school side because of my kids, but then I got involved with the 350th committee and got to see a whole other part of Mendon, which I loved. And then I got involved with the tax aid committee, so I'm on that as well. And I just feel like it's really important for us to have a collective plan and, get moving in the right direction with everyone's input. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And come highly recommended from John Vandersloot. I guess he was on the 350 committee with you.
Oh, we had
Yeah.
a great time on
Yeah,
that.
so-
It was really good. So
He passed his information on in the planning board meeting, so it was, it's good to have you aboard.
well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Kathy Schofield, does she need any? Kathy, you out there? You're muted.
There we go.
Here we are.
Okay. So I know you said you had a lot of kids. I have cats. So if you see them jumping in and out, that's why.
They
Kevin-
didn't talk back.
Well, I'm not so sure about that.
They won't be naked either.
I have been a member of the Mendon Historical Commission for many, many years. I worked with the original group on the master plan. Was very sad to see it take a hiatus, but I'm very excited to see it come back up, and very excited to see, I have this benefit of seeing how people responded years ago and what they're thinking now. So, having that comparison, I think is going to be really interesting. So thanks for having me on board. I appreciate it.
Glad to have you aboard, Kathy. Matthew Cody, oh, he's not here tonight, right? No. Nick Sinatra's not. Patrick Doherty.
I
There
think.
he is.
Yeah, here I am. So
I was gonna say, would you go have a beer or something, or?
I got two screens going, and my mouse was on the other screen. So my background is civil engineering and real estate development. I've been in town full time for about 15 years, and at least part time all my life. Had previously worked with some of the members of this committee in the zoning bylaw review committee, and look forward to working with everyone here on the master plan.
Thank you, Patrick. And Patrick brings a lot of technical experience to help the planning board in writing bylaws. He's, couldn't do it without him.
Well, thank you, Bill. Couldn't do it without you.
I'm just a cat in the bag that drives everybody crazy. Robert Sweet.
Trying to get my, can you hear me?
I know you're muted, Bob. Get on mute.
Better?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Bob Sweet. I'm a Mendon resident for 18 years now, and I don't have any real special skills. I love my town. I want to see it grow, prosper, and be beneficial and useful for everybody.
Bob, I thought you were very good at building bonfires.
Well, there is an occasional campfire.
Okay. Make sure it's clear.
In our field, love really is a special skill.
All right. And last but not least, Anthony Jenner. Bob, can you mute your phone now?
Hi everyone, my name is Tony Jenna. I've been in Mendon now for 4 years. I've got a young family, so this is a really important committee for me. My background is in commercial real estate, but I am here as the representative for the Mendon Economic Development Committee, and I was actually just recently appointed to the Mendon Housing Authority. So I'm looking forward to really working with everyone.
Great, Tony. That your background is definitely going to come in handy, both on the housing and the commercial real estate side. So, all right, the others will have to. I'll keep track of who didn't get to do their couple-minute display, and we'll take care of them the next meeting. But I think probably, it's a good time to move forward and accomplish some of the tasks we have ahead of us.
Bill, if I could, how many voting members are there on the committee? Just so we can figure out what we need to have a quorum.
There's 17 voting members. Actually 16, because Dan Byer is only going to be part of the board as I believe as more of a, he's going to handle our social media.
So we need nine people present for any
we
decisions, right?
Yeah, we got 10.
Okay, wonderful. So I guess the intention, the grant that's funding this initiative, or this grant that's funding our work and our collaboration with you guys, we have 1 year remaining to expend it. It took a little bit of time, getting the committee off of the ground, and now you have, 16 voting members, which is huge and tremendous and better than I could have even hoped. But we'll definitely need, we'll need to make sure we're hitting deadlines in terms of milestones and meeting quorum. So I'd really encourage everybody to try your very best to make it, because we have only 1 year left. And these projects usually run 1 to 1.5 years. So it's totally doable, and we will do it. But there's not a lot of time for missed opportunities for meetings. I think the next agenda item is election of officers. Is that right, Bill?
Yes, that would be, and I guess we can do it one of two ways. We can ask for recommendations, or anyone wants to throw their hat in the ring. So we'd have a chair, vice chair, and secretary. That should be about it, right?
I think that should be it.
Yeah. So we'll start at the bottom. Is anybody interested in being the secretary for the committee? Don't all raise your hand at once.
Bill, is it possible to split that task between 2 people?
Yeah, it's always possible, but I think with, interactions. I mean, we certainly can put someone to the aid of the secretary, because it does become a cumbersome job, obviously.
It does.
But I don't think we can vote a position of that. So we can just, if someone wants to take the secretary position, and we can allot someone to assist in that. I think that's a better way of handling it than appointing two people to the same position. So if we do, you'll do it. And is anybody willing to, Lisa Hilton is just, I think everybody in here, he said everybody, step forward, we all step back. Lisa was left standing there.
Hey, Lisa.
But if anyone is willing to assist Lisa, it certainly would be a great hand. Obviously, I think that's important sometimes because of vacations. Someone who's away doesn't want to need to be burdened with committee stuff. So if anyone was willing to assist Lisa, and you'll love her. She's a bubbly person.
I was going to throw in my hat anyway to any of them. So Lisa, I'm happy to help you out whenever you need help.
Okay. So with that being said, we just need a vote to vote Lisa as secretary. I need a motion.
I make a motion to nominate or to accept Lisa as the secretary of the master plan committee. Lisa Hilton.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Lisa, the job is yours.
Yay.
All right, now we move on to vice chair. Do we have someone who is interested in vice chair?
I'm happy to throw my hat in.
Okay. Yep, Jennifer. All right, do I have a second for Jennifer, or is there anybody else that would like to be vice chair? Okay, do I have a second for Jennifer?
Second.
Second.
Okay, we got 3 people second. I'm gonna say Ellen second. All right, get that? And all those in favor?
Aye.
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 You are lucky enough to be vice chair.
Yay.
Which
Thank you.
moves us to chair. I'm obviously going to throw my name in there. But certainly if anybody else is interested, I've certainly got a lot on my plate, but the one thing we're going to look at the planning board is that bus drives the right way. So, because I have to get this done this time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We need to get this completed. So if anybody else doesn't want to, I'll certainly put my name in, and all I would need would be
I would nominate Bill as chair for this committee.
yeah.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be that as it may, Jennifer, before I didn't let you know this before, you decide to take the vice chair position. But I occasionally have some health things going on that I may not be present. So you might be saddled with some stuff that I may be gone for a week. So it might be something.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm all in. So whatever you need, it's totally fine.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. With
Bill?
those, yep.
Sorry, a quick question. Meeting postings and things like that. Will that go through the secretary?
Yeah, and I'll work with Lisa on that. It's pretty, the only thing we'll do is Dominique does the agenda.
Yeah.
And it'll just be a matter of emailing Ellen the date, well, she'll know the date because she's on the committee unless she's not here. But just mail the agenda. The agenda has a date, time, and I've got to work out with Lonnie or somebody else. Right now, we don't. The town is struggling with people to run the meeting equipment. So I talked to Lonnie tonight. He's going to get with Kim Newman, our town administrator, to see if we can get that resolved, that whether they put a person in place to do that, hire somebody or whatever. I mean, we can't be having situations like this when nobody suddenly is available to do it.
Yeah.
Bill, do you think it's possible to send out some type of invite? Just instead, is the only way to find out about the meetings is if we check the website? Is there another way that we could send out an invite? So it's.
Well, if you go on the town website, you can elect to have, there's a location go to receive any information from each board or committee.
Oh, I see.
You check the board, you check the box and everything should come.
Oh, gotcha.
Also, generally if done correctly, I don't know, Lonnie was explaining this to me today. If I can get Dan to put everybody's name on the master plan committee, I guess is a way that when these Teams meetings are set out, an invite can go to the entire committee. I'm going to work with Lonnie a little bit more on that, but Ellen probably has more knowledge of that than I do. But
Yeah, that's true. If we create a group called the Master Plan Committee in Teams, when I set up the teams, well, you did tonight's, I think, but
do you usually set them up, Ellen? Because I called Lonnie to set that up. Do you usually?
Yeah, I set them up for all the committees except for the select board. Laura does her own, but everybody else doesn't really know how to do it, so I do it.
So from now on, we'll just let you handle it. That way it doesn't.
Yeah, and then I usually send it to whatever the group name is, and anyone in that group will get the invite. It'll have the link and everything.
Perfect. Now, who do I have to see to get that group set up? Lonnie?
Lonnie set them up. I've never done it. I probably could, but I'm not. I'd have to be shown how to do it first. But Lonnie set up the groups that are in there right now.
I'll talk to Lonnie tomorrow, see if he can set. I'll send him all the information, see if he can set the group up for us.
Yeah, that'd be great. And the thing you were talking about, in case the other people don't know, is if you go on the website and go on the front page and subscribe, you can subscribe to all emails about master plan. All events will come to you, and that's what you were referring to before. You subscribe to the agendas, you subscribe to the minutes.
Perfect. Now, Ellen, you're going to have to educate me in this because a lot of my minutes don't get posted for the planning board and stuff like that. Who's responsible to do that? Is that Dan or is that?
Usually each board is supposed to do it. I can certainly help with it because I know how to do it.
Okay.
Gail knows how to do it too. She just hasn't done it.
Yeah, I don't think she's going. She hasn't offered any support for the master plan committee, and I don't think she's going to unless someone tells her she has to. So,
I can certainly post those.
Yeah, and at least until we do have an assistant planner that's going to come on board at some point, and then I can use that role for some of this stuff, and because it's going to be more of not only a planner but an admin position for the planning board, so it'll help me greatly because most of the administrative stuff the last few years I've been doing myself, and it's just a little burdensome. But
yeah. So Lisa, I take it Lisa will write the minutes. We'll vote on them at the next meeting.
Correct.
And then she can send me the document, and I can upload it onto the website.
Beautiful. You get that, Lisa? Okay. All right, we're ironing out all the logistics. That's a good thing. So I think the last thing we got is to talk about the survey. I reviewed the survey. I like the way it is now. We fit some more information in and actually reduced it. I think that, I think my personal opinion is we should go up with it, roll this thing out, get people, and people are always going to extrapolate anyways. Information, there's enough boxes to type in that if they want to make their opinion known, they'll have the opportunity to do that. And I think that's a good thing. When we did the 2 others, the feedback was very good. We did that all more or less. There was a lot of handwriting in of information, and we gathered a lot of information at that time. Unfortunately, I think doing it with SurveyMonkey is going to allow us to calibrate that data a lot better than we were able to do the first 2 times.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing. I think what the logistics we need to talk about is how we're going to get it out to the public. Facebook, what we need is most of the members to get this to anybody they know, any groups. It's, Kathleen, you talked about the athletics. I spent about 30 years in the athletics program in Mendon and Upton. And so I totally understand where you're coming from. My kids have grown up, gone to college, done their thing. But even before that, I was coaching youth programs, and maybe go back to it one of these days. But for right now, those are the people we need to get out to. The athletic community.
Bill, quick question. Before we determine that, are we all in agreement that the survey is good to go? Because I did get a chance to look at it, and I thought it was pretty good myself.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about the logistics first, then we'll take the vote.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, and I include myself in that. Before 12 years ago, I really knew, I was so involved in town sports that I never really, and not only town sports, I coached at the club levels. I actually coached at a prep school at one time. But it never really got involved in the community, town politics specifically. So those are the people who we never hear from. And that's the community we need to bring in and gather more information from. So they're important. The ag community is another one. They don't always give you their input unless you go out and drag it from them.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I was a farmer growing up, none of us involved ourselves in town unless it was the Brothers of the Brush or some social club that belonged to the community. But farmers didn't become selectmen or planning board members or any of that. So those 2 that we just need to, as many people you invite to the website, invite to the Facebook page. We need the board to be out there cheerleading this thing, and it's going to be important going forward. If we want to hear the community's voice, we've got to get it to the community. So,
Have we thought about, sorry, I think I interrupted somebody.
No, you go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, have we thought about reaching out to different leaders in the town? So I'm just thinking people with mailing lists, right? Like the police chief, fire chief, superintendent. I'm just thinking, because if you limit it to like Facebook, a lot of people, you have a huge population of people who use it, but you have a huge population of people who completely avoid it. So if we can leverage maybe connections that we already have, like my husband's an on-call firefighter. I'm sure I could have him ask the chief if he would mind sending out an email or something like that. I think not only would it be great to do that, but I think it'd be nice to get feedback from people working and living in the town too. I think that would be vital.
I think to be honest with you, I think it's a great idea. I can reach out to both Dave and Bill And we can reach out to the school. My problem with the school is whether they have a way of sending to Mendon residents only. I mean, I don't care if it goes to Upton residents. They can just ignore it if they want.
Right.
They can? Okay.
And then also the senior center.
Yeah,
I
I was-
know they would help, like, people
That's a good point.
have a problem with the computer, you know, to get them on Survey Monkey and
Good.
that kind of thing.
Good, well, that's what we need, because believe it or not, the senior community is one that usually responds very heavily. I mean, it's always been that way in men. Back in my day, they called them the old swamp Yankees, but most of them are gone now, so, but it's just, you know, the senior's important, they usually have an opinion, so.
Do we have the ability to do any?
Lisa is speaking. Go ahead.
Are we gonna be using the QR code that
Yeah.
was suggested?
I was gonna talk to Dominique about that. The QR codes are gonna work, correct?
Yes, so we created a flyer, one.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay, so we have the flyer that has the QR code and all of the links to the various social medias and the website on there. So it's meant to be printed out and chopped in half, so you'll be able to get a lot of,
Yeah, I've already given it to my office girls. I'm gonna incur that cost. It's not a big deal for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm gonna have a bunch of them done.
How did it print out in color, or did you do black and white?
I'm gonna do them in color. I've got a color printer, so. But what I would like to do, Ellen, is set up a table with the surveys and those flyers at the vote for the school. And we may need help manning that table, or we can just leave the information out. It doesn't really matter to me. We kind of need a directive. If someone could, I haven't been able to get my hands on what we did with we used to have a banner for the master plan. And I haven't been able to find it. It was left with somebody. I probably got thrown away at some point. But I don't know if there's somewhere we can put together a placard, or if someone is interested in doing that, that'd be great. But I personally don't have the time to take that under right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find those old logos. They're very similar to ones we have now. But see if I can have another banner made at Staples for future events. Because the banner looked nice, came in handy. I
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
just wish I could get my hands on it.
Did you ask Dan Byer if he came across it when we were doing the library, shuffle? Because, I mean, there are a bunch of things that were recovered or tucked away. He might know.
I can ask Dan, certainly. I'll send him an email and see if he can, see if somebody uncovered this thing.
I think we had a hand from Anthony. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
actually, Anthony, you're next. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna the printouts. We plan on having them at the table next week, and will we have extras in case we want to hand them out throughout our community, throughout the neighborhood?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll leave a bunch there. I doubt they'll all be taken. So if you want to pick up a stack for yourself while you're there, I certainly, because I'm going to make a bunch of them. And I'll check down at I'll pick up whatever's left, Ellen, at the end of the night.
Yeah, I can also ask Andrew to put them out at the library because people are in there all the time. They're open to the public, and they have computers too that they could help somebody with it if they needed to.
All right, well, I got to come in and get sworn in anyway, so
Okay.
I'll bring you a stack. And we also need to get, and I didn't try printing it, but we need a copy of the survey so I can run off copies of that.
How many copies do you intend to make?
I'll make as much as anyone needs. I mean,
I'm just trying to think if it makes sense to have, if we could have one of our junior staffers take, the survey doesn't give a lot of formatting options, right? And it kind of actually tends to waste space, so, everything's really stretched out. There is probably a way to print it more efficiently if we took the time to redesign it,
Well, why don't you have them print it and then email it, scan it and email it to me after he prints it into a format that's reasonable.
Okay.
And then I can copy from there.
Okay, I can have somebody do that probably no later than Monday, I think.
That's
in
fine.
terms of that.
That's fine. That gives us time.
That does raise a question, though, in terms of hard copies. So in the overview page, the introductory page of the survey, it says we put paper copies can be picked up and dropped off for the following locations: Town Clerk's office at Town Hall, Senior Center, and the Taft Public Library. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Somebody will have to, monitor whether there are surveys and pick them up. Is that available in all those locations? That's a lot of places. My other committees I work with have found that that can be a lot.
I think I can handle 3 locations within a mile from one another.
Awesome. Awesome.
It's not that big of a deal.
I have a question. Do we want to put some of the QR codes in like the Muffin House or other businesses where people frequently go to?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Well, what I would suggest is I'll leave a big stack down at if someone, I don't have time to be running to all these businesses and stuff. If someone wants to take that task on, certainly, that'd be great. What I was considering doing also is sometimes better than doing a flyer is having maybe a poster made up we can hang in one of these places with the QR code on it.
I was wondering too, so I think Anthony, the Muffin House idea is, I think I live right next to there, so I drive them there all the time, so I feel like that's a great idea. But do we have the ability to do a mailing?
You know what, we did that the last 2 times and it's a great expense. And I don't think the town has a budget for it. I think the last time we did a survey, without even, because I incurred the printing expense for those also, but the mailings and mailing, because we stamped the envelopes, the mailing back was like $2,800. And I don't have it in my planning board budget right now. I've got to save that money for the master plan itself. So.
No, I'm happy to take
that. In theory, we could use the town crier too to advertise.
Yeah, Michelle Sanford, I already talked to her. We could put the QR code right in there. She'd be willing to put the flyer in the town crier. But even just a small 8x11 poster for the businesses, where they could just put it up in their window. I'm not sure how much, traffic it'll get, but,
I'm happy to take that one, Bill, if you want. Because what I'm thinking is if we could get, is it possible to email me electronic version of the file? And maybe what I can do is I can make the QR code huge. So if somebody's coming up, for example, to the Muffin House, you just scan it and then you walk in and you can do the survey later.
Yeah, you need to put it near the register as it's on the page.
Yeah, I know.
Don't put it on the door on the way in because they haven't eaten yet.
That's true. Yeah, but I'm happy to take that if you want. If you could, either Dominique or you could send me the electronic version, then I can go to a couple places.
Dominique, can you send that to her?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Her email is Elizabeth Morgante at,
gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat.
okay. All right.
Okay, now, Jennifer, you said if I send you the electronic file, you would redesign it as 8.5 by 11?
I wasn't specific, but I certainly can. The one thing that I was thinking, and maybe you could do it easier than I could, but I was thinking if we can make the QR code really big.
Yeah.
And then just say something along the lines of the Sunny survey or something like super quick where if somebody's going in to grab a coffee or running into the post office and they quickly see it and want to scan it, they don't have to read through a bunch of stuff. It's more so just the QR code and then like
Absolutely.
a little brief.
Yeah, if you just, I think that's a great idea. Anything we're gonna hang up somewhere should probably be just a poster, 8.5 by 11 poster. I think even in some of the places we're talking about putting the flyer, it might be better just to put a poster up. The library, the senior center, instead of having papers flying around everywhere. Just make sure, when you're making this one page, make sure we have a good understanding of what it's for. So they'll go after the QR code and don't be afraid to plagiarize. There's enough stuff on Dominique's website you can grab if you need to. I'm the best plagiarist there is, so.
Oh, no.
No use reinventing the wheel, so.
Great. Okay, so there are a couple of other ideas. So as you know, the success of the outreach will in large part depend on the committee. So if all of you can indeed, think about, what groups and associations and affiliations do you have and work to promote those individually, that is wonderful. I think you may only have the preview link. So after this meeting tonight, I'm going to send the live link. And on Monday, when our junior staffer who's very good at doing this sort of visual and social media type stuff, when she's back, I will have her make a visual Facebook ad. I will have her help with the poster. I'll have her do a few things like that, but you can definitely start promoting it now. Is somebody able to get it up on the town website and town social media?
Yeah, I can do that. Well, I'm the only one with a town Facebook page, basically. The town doesn't really have one, but I have one for the town clerk, so I can put that up, and we have other pages people can share from me.
Okay, wonderful. I hope everybody on here knows at this point, but in case there's some people who are new and haven't caught this yet. So we did develop a bunch of social media platform venues for the master plan. So there's a master plan website, mendonmasterplan.com. There's a Facebook page and an Instagram page also. So we will take care of promoting it on those 3 pages. So let's see, I'm just looking at my list. Okay, so you will put it on the social media page and the town website. Is that right, Ellen?
Yeah, I can put it on the website.
And Bill, you will continue, follow up with the town crier to make sure.
Yeah,
that you do that?
I'll talk to Michelle Sanford and get her a copy of probably the ad you did, because we're small enough with the QR code on it, so it'll be that should help.
Okay, super. And there's going to be a table next week for a school vote that some people are going to man and pass things out at?
Yeah, Mr. Sweet just offered his time. If anybody is interested in helping him out. 7 a.m. to 7 p.
8 p.m.
8, I'm sorry.
I'm going to be away, so unfortunately can't help with that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, my business is very busy right now, so I don't have a lot of time, but I could come later in the day. But I think
I could probably hop in at some point for relief so that somebody's not sitting there for a million hours, but I can probably pop over for at least an hour or two between children.
Yeah, just,
And I can close it out.
Bob, you also, whoever's gonna work there, make sure we're not pushing our opinion of the vote that's going on. I mean, I think that's actually a violation of state regulation, so
Right.
you don't want the lovely police officer you're dragging on your handcuffs, and wouldn't look good for the master plan committee.
Yeah, you can't have any yes or no or anything within 150 feet of the polls. So you're
Right.
just there for the master plan.
That's it.
So a question, just thinking about other sources, the last one that comes to my mind right away, do you have like an electronic sign in town or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I was gonna talk to the police chief. He's in charge of our electronic sign. And I was going to see if he could put up, stating that, on the town website, please go to mendonmasterplan.com and fill out the survey. I'll figure something out that he can put on there. He's only got so many characters he can deal with, so we'll have to limit it. But yeah, he'll put it out there for us.
Does anybody else have any ideas for outreach? Emily, members of the committee?
Well, I think Kathleen had a great point about the school email. That's probably where we're gonna get our most mileage. A lot of people tend to, and Kathleen just offered to reach out to them for us, so that's good.
And Lisa mentioned the Lions Club, and I was thinking even the Brothers of the Brush, they seem to have a great network of getting.
Yeah, we can send it to the Brothers of the Brush. We can send it to the Lions Club. Lions Club's been around for a long time in Mendon.
They can use that community event sign that's at Fountain Park. We haven't put it on there.
Can you put something at the soccer?
Which soccer field down the other side? That's privately owned. We can't.
Oh, you can't?
No, that's privately owned.
What about Memorial Ball Field? How long are the games still going in the town beach?
Yeah, the games, the spring games are probably coming to an end, but the summer All-Stars will be out probably till the end of the summer. Just
right.
Right on the snack shack.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could put it up on the snack shack.
Or Dan could give it to the families that signed up for camp.
Yeah, that too, yeah.
He's
So
probably
Bill,
got
a
an
question
email
for
list
you.
of
Where
those.
should, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ellen, excuse me.
That's okay. I think Dan might even have an email list for those kids that are in the parents that are in the camp.
I'm sure. We're gonna overbearing these people. They're gonna get like 4 emails from 4 different groups. Fill the damn survey out, jeez.
As long as they click on it once. Fine.
I just have one more question concerning the survey. I did hope to talk to you all a little bit about how we approach the changes in it, just to make sure that Bill, how should people get the printed copies from you? What's the best way to get these?
Well, if you can
Or
get
the
me,
flyers?
if you can get me that copy emailed to me, then I'll personally leave them at the town hall, the library, Taft Library, yeah, Mendon Library, and the senior center. And once and anywhere else I can leave them, but I don't want to just have these things drifting all over the place, all over town. So we'll have to be cautious where we.
Bill, do you want like drop-off boxes? Like pick-up drop-off boxes?
I mean, it's not a bad idea. We probably need just one really, and that's, we could either put it in front of the post office or because I know Tim McCarty probably wouldn't have a problem with us putting it in front of the post office, or we can put it in front of the town hall, whichever's easier. I just don't, that town hall is kind of a handicap access ramp, correct, Ellen?
I have a huge drop box right outside my office, which is down at the handicapped entrance. So if they want to drop the surveys in my drop box,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
So should we eliminate on the survey, on the overview page, should we eliminate the other two locations where people can pick up and drop off surveys, which say town hall and library, the senior center and library? And just keep it to the town clerk, or?
I think you should still keep them at the library and the senior center.
Yeah, and just the one drop-off box. You know, it's somebody from the senior center and the library could probably deliver them to the town hall.
Right.
So I don't think we need drop boxes there, but I think if we'd, certainly someone from the senior center will, and, you know, I'm sure we can get them from the town library. You know, they just need to, we need to turn them into someone at the library and then we can get them to the town hall. I don't think that'll be a problem.
I think Bob has his hand up too. Bob, I don't know if you had something.
Bob, your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Let's see if I can get myself off of mute. Okay.
Hold on a second, Bob. I gotta put myself on. Hold on. I've got an echo like crazy.
All right. Let me.
I think we lost you.
I think I'm back now. Go ahead, Bob. Bob's over there.
Okay.
Hi, Bob.
When I printed, Dominique, this is for you. When I printed my survey, I printed it on double-sided for the paper. It saved a lot of paper and it's pretty easy to fill out.
Okay, that's wonderful. How many pages did it get down to? I haven't printed this new version now.
14, it's 28 pages, I believe.
14 pages.
And it looks a lot more attractive at that point.
Excellent, excellent. I'm so glad to hear that. Do you think that there's significant well, we can assess this internally tomorrow, perhaps. Do you think there's significant space saving to be found in redesigning the survey by hand?
I mean, there is some wasted space on some of the pages, but I like the fact that everything is spaced out enough so that if you want to write comments, like I wrote comments on mine only because some of the things that were in here, we already have as town practice. They're in the bylaws or that we're practicing them now. So I made the comments, you know, already in place or, you know, already part of the planning board or whatnot. You know, zoning is already.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's.
So it's not a terrible design by any means.
And I was just thinking, one thing we may be able to do too, if it's only 14 pages, I may be able to get the town crier to do that as a stuffer.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, so they can send it out as a stuffer, and anybody that wants to fill it out with the information at a drop off, they can drop it off here. Right.
Or maybe even would they do the flyer? I haven't seen the flyer, so I don't know how big the flyer is, but I wonder if they could do that as a stuffer.
The flyer is
you know what, that would actually be better because well, she's going to have the QR code in the paper.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it could go either way. Like when you open it, if it's there, then it's likely, maybe, hopefully the first thing that you look at, whereas depending on where they put it, it might be buried a little bit if it's in the paper.
Well, I usually go into the Mendon Town News.
Okay.
So,
and people usually, from Mendon, people usually go to that, but.
Okay.
But
I think our biggest advantage is going to be that the June 29th special election.
Yeah, because it.
You know, 800 people there.
I don't think you can overlook any of them. I think they all kind of need to be, if we want to maximize the input, I think they're all going to play a major role. I think the school thing, because there are a lot of emails within the school system. You know, I'm not sure how many kids go throughout the entire school system, but
their parents do.
Yeah, well, it's gotta
Bill,
be,
if I could, so if you want to find out if the town crier is willing to include a stuffer, like if under certain conditions, if I need to redesign the survey in order to make that happen, I think that that's a great opportunity to get a free mailing in, potentially, right? If you're willing to print off a survey that's 14
well,
or
if
fewer
you just
pages.
send me the regular survey, I can print it two-sided. I mean, that doesn't.
Okay, so if you want to find out if that's feasible, then I could redesign it too. I know we had two hands. We've had a couple hands and we're starting to lose some of them though. So I don't want to overlook anybody. I know we have, hold on, we have Lisa and I think we had Tony too, or someone else. Do you want to go ahead, Tony, if that was you, and then we'll move to Lisa?
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think these are all great ideas. But can I ask that once these electronic marketing material versions are complete, that they be sent out to the committee? I find it's a lot easier for me to disseminate that as well if I have them.
Yeah,
it's very easy
absolutely. If you guys want to make your own copies, I'll send everything to each one of you. And then you can elect what to do with them, whether you email them, copy them, hand them out, whatever you want. I mean, yeah, no problem. As soon as we get this all wrapped up, we can certainly send them out to the entire committee.
Sure, sounds great. Thank you.
And how about Lisa?
Get your hand
Hi,
up.
I do have my hands up. I'll lower my hands. Can we get a commitment from people on who is going to go where to deliver the surveys, the QR codes? We talked about Muffin House, the ballparks, contacting police and fire. We know Bob's going to be working the school vote day with assistance from who's available. Is there anybody that can step up to, say, deliver these to the snack shacks at town and other various places?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to, like I said before, Dominique, if I can work with
Okay.
a smaller version, and then I can print out posters and stuff like that. I do think I'm relatively new to Mendon, so if anybody has suggestions of where I should be putting these, like I know in my vicinity where I should, but any suggestions, please email me. I'm the Elizabeth. And then I would just say anybody in the group who has some type of connection to police, fire, highway, senior center, school, Lions Club, I think those are the ones that I heard. The mailing lists, I think, are going to be, or the email lists, I think, are going to be key. So if we can have the chiefs send out an email, even to their just team members, I think that would be really great.
Yeah, I'll send Dave and Bill an email tonight. Yeah, and Kathleen's going to take care of the schools, so.
Perfect.
I'm not sure the Brothers of the Brush have technology enough to send out.
But the community event sign would be ideal to have.
Yeah, I'll talk to Dave. Dave's in charge of it. Oh, you're
I
talking
have-
about the Lions Club.
Yeah, Founders Park there. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
The community event sign. It used to be Colleen that would change Colleen Onkay that would change the sign.
Okay.
Maybe Kathy.
I don't know who's in charge. Does anybody know who's in charge of that sign out at the corner on Founders Park?
I think it could be Bucky.
Yeah, it is.
It's Bucky?
Yeah.
So if we could ask that that go on there,
Yeah, I'll email Mark too. I'll put him on my Bikino. He's actually my wife's cousin, so.
Right now they have the Horribles parade on there, so I don't know if you can bump them.
The Horribles parade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll ask you later what that is. Is that a local festival?
Yeah, it's a parade, small parade, all kids.
It's always the day before the 4th of July.
Yeah, it's July. Yeah, I think this is like, it's like all the kids get dressed up and march down.
It's like Halloween in July.
Yeah, Halloween.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. I love Mendon.
I got some great pictures of my kids when they were little. in the Horribles parade.
So you contact the police and fire?
Yeah, I'll contact police and fire.
I can contact the library and the Friends of the Library. I have connections to the Friends of the Library.
Okay, who wants to tackle the senior center? I'll leave the surveys, but
I'll do the senior center.
because we're gonna need to figure out if we need someone there to walk them through, you know, getting to the survey and filling it out.
The high school kids usually help the seniors.
Yeah, we just need to arrange it. I mean, they, you know, so.
Yeah, well, I'll talk to Amy.
Yeah,
Yep, and I'm sure they can line somebody up to work with the seniors to get it done.
The date that these all will be done by these people so we can.
sure. A date when all this stuff can be completed by.
So we get it tonight, so.
July 1st. June 30th, July 1st. Yeah. Jennifer, you've got, I would suggest you start at the eateries in
Yeah.
town.
But we have to have the survey and the QR code before we can do anything, don't we?
We're gonna get those.
Yeah, we're voting on the survey tonight. As far as I'm concerned, it's done. I mean, we're gonna gather enough information off that. We don't want to extrapolate too much, because then you're just beating a dead horse and people are gonna get tired of filling it out. And then when we send the next one out, they're gonna say, I ain't filling that thing out. So we gotta be careful, you know, we just, I've been through this a couple times before. The way we arranged it the first time, you know, it was like 7 pages. We mailed it out and we got a lot the first time.
June 30th.
And then we got even more the second time because, you know, people felt that their information was being, because we posted the results too. So I think people felt that, that their feedback was being utilized, and it still is. I mean, we can refer back to those later. And I think there's still a lot of good information we draw from those. But we certainly will be dealing mostly with the new data because it is 5 years later. But, so.
Are there any other questions, concerns, ideas that anybody want to touch on concerning outreach at this point in time? Did we want to talk about the survey so we can vote on that, or you can vote on that rather?
I did have one more thought. Can we reach out to all the committees and make sure that everybody on a committee is completing it?
We can, and I'll send that out. As relative to the response I got from requesting that every board send a member to the master plan committee or at least be engaged with the master plan committee. I'm not expecting that to really, you know, to happen, but I'll send it out like I did all the other information I sent out to the boards and committees.
I will commit the entire library trustees to filling it out or else.
I know I'll beat the planning board if they don't after all this, but.
Yeah, there's no excuse.
No, there really isn't. There really isn't. And to be honest with you, you know, I had a discussion with the board when we were doing the appointments, and you know, and I told them that this, you know, this information is only going to aid the board. This is why we're doing this. So the board knows what the town wants, so we can start making decisions moving forward on, you know, whether it be zoning bylaws or whatever, making decisions that the town wants to see. Not particular individual groups or individuals themselves, but the town as a whole. You know, sometimes it's hard to get that read. I like to think I have the pulse of the town pretty good. I know a lot of people grew up here, so lived all 56 years in the town of Mendon. I've done it all from being a farmer to a businessman, so I've been in all aspects. So, so I think it'll be good going forward. But
Okay, any other questions, thoughts, or comments on outreach at this point in time? Okay. Mr. Chairman, can we talk about the survey then in itself?
Absolutely. Let's move on to the survey. I think we've had a lot of input. I think a lot of it's very good. I think we're able to look at some of the materials that were sent by various people, and we try to enact as much as we can without making a 50-page survey out of this thing. Sometimes it's hard to do, but I'll leave it up to you guys to tell me what you thought.
So from our perspective, what we did is we went through each set of comments that we received and we incorporated them to the very best of our ability. Then afterwards, I went through and reviewed the survey for anything that the primary comment we got from you guys was, this is too long. We're concerned about the length. This is 3 times as long, more than 3 times as long as our last survey. We want that same type of level of results. So I went through and I eliminated every possible question that I thought one could live without. If it was slightly redundant, or if it just wasn't absolutely necessary, I took it out. There were a lot of questions that were added and then we took out concerning who's taking the survey. Really great information. Looked at all kinds of different demographic information. But when you only ask 30 questions, 10 of them can't be who's taking the survey, right? So some things like that. We added in the natural resource questions that, for the open space and recreation plan, and then we took out the ones that I thought weren't essential to the master plan process. So, it was really iterative, but we did our very best to try to address each set of comments and to make it as short as possible. So it's went from about 83 questions to 28, I think.
And I think it's zeroed in pretty well. I think it'll give us, and you got to remember, there's workshops and other stuff coming up later where we can devise groups and develop further. But I think this is a very good start to gathering information that will probably be utilized in those workshops and stuff. And further discussion can happen. You can't collect the entire data in one survey. It's not practical. We found out that the first couple times we did it, it's just better to kind of not skim coat the top, but get the first layer and then work from there.
So did anybody take a look and have any feedback or edits that they wanted to see, or did you guys look at it? Or are you generally okay with it?
So I happened to look at it right before this call, and there was only 2 things I had. So the one was question 19. There was a typo in the first item. I forget what it was, but I think I added a comment there. And the second one, so totally understand your point about demographic information, like you don't want to overdo it. The one question I'm wondering if we could potentially add, or maybe 2 of them, was asking like their years of residency. So if they're a relatively new move to the town, or if they've been here for a while, I think if we want to report on that or kind of visualize that later, it might help us identify like what's becoming more important versus less important and so on and so forth. And then the other thing I had in here, which take it or leave it, I said number of school-age children in the household. I just thought it was an additional information point that might be valuable. But otherwise, I thought it looked awesome. I thought
We can,
if I can interject here, those 2 questions. Number 1, the demographic of whether you lived here 2 years or 50 like myself, I think it's probably not something we want to capture or supply within the results set. I mean, if we want to capture it for our own use, that's great. But there was a time period where old Mendon and new Mendon kind of felt that they were on different streams. Old Mendon would refer to people as not a Mendonite. You know, so I don't think that's a good demographic to capture. It doesn't matter whether you've been here 1 or 50. You have the same, you know, you have the same right to your opinion as anybody else. Doesn't carry any more weight just because we've been here 50 years.
But Bill,
Secondly,
let me ask you this question though. So if you have, like for me, right? So I've been here only 2 years.
yeah,
And so me and my husband, we plan my kids are 5, 4, and 3. Sorry. So we plan to be here for the next 20 years.
yeah.
So being that this, and please educate me because I'm new to this, right? Being that this master plan is potentially what, 5, 10, 15, 20 years out, I'm just wondering if as a data point for us to look at down the line, when we're looking at all these surveys and we're finding, for example, that maybe a certain population of people are saying, you know what, I don't like the commercial businesses coming in, and then some other people, they might say something else is more important. I'm just wondering if that could be valuable if we wanted to, for lack of a better word, dissect kind of the results that we're getting and help us determine those other conversations that you're talking about, those buildable moments where you can sit down and talk about, okay, what next steps do we take?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, like I said, I wouldn't report that result set because I think it's a bad indicator. And I'm not sure how it's going to aid the planning, future planning. And that's what I'm looking for this master plan to do.
If I could interject, so I originally included, I think one member of the committee had asked that we include a number of those additional demographic questions, and I added them back in. And then one of my colleagues said, Dominique, that is great information to get, but what are you going to do with it? Like how are you going to apply that information? So like, are you going to use it if your survey results are low to reach out to different people? Like, are you, how that's, you know, if you can only have a couple demographic questions, that might some of these others don't serve you for outreach, but you can add it back in or not, whatever works for you guys.
Yeah, that was kind of my point, Jennifer, is what do I, as planning board chair, what do I do with that information? You know, it really doesn't, it doesn't apply to planning, I guess I should say. I can't look at a demographic and say, okay, even if we look at it in 5 years and say, okay, these people are now here 7 years, but all these people who were here 50 years are now gone. It still doesn't, you know, it won't change, you know, the scope of what planning is trying to do. You know,
there's one point that if I can interject once more. You know, I'm not a survey design expert. When we're talking about stuff in school, I do recall them always mentioning sort of toss some people some, what do you call it, easy balls or slow balls, right? Like to warm them up to survey taking. In this survey, because we were so tight on space, I eliminated most of your slow balls. So if you want to capture that information and you want to make it a little bit of an easier entry to the survey, that is something you could consider. Yeah.
I mean, we certainly, I mean, if we've got room, I mean, to add in the demographics of you know, how many kids do you have in school? Once again, I question what that result set brings to future town planning. You know, there's no evidence that because 5 kids are in school, 4 of them will remain in Mendon. We got to talk about growth and this and that. None of them may end up living in Mendon. So the grand scope is this planning board is existing through one of the largest growth periods in Mendon's history. I mean, since the year 2000, Mendon's an entirely different looking town than it was since the year 2000. I grew up in 1983 and I was in a class of 78 kids. And that was the biggest class in like 12 years. So the demographics certainly have changed since the 80s and more so since the millennial, Mendon's been in a growth pattern, that we have traffic issues and there's a lot more irons in the fire to control than whether myself as planning, and I appreciate the demographic certainly, but whether I'm going to be able to do anything with that. Because at this time, I don't, as the planning board chair, I don't see that as a major driver for me.
Mr. Chairman, I think we have a couple of hands up. Can we take it?
Yeah, I think I saw Bob Sweet has one, and Ellen, are you still out there? She might have jumped off.
No, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I
But I
saw
don't have my-
I saw your hand up earlier.
Yeah, I just saw, it was answered, so we're good.
Okay. Bud,
I'll try it.
hold on. Let me turn my speaker down because you echo like crazy.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, and
I will.
And I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So the objective of master plan isn't whether or not you've been here 1 year or 50 years. It's what's best for the town.
Well, it's what the community opinion is.
Right.
I mean, it's.
But that you're going to get that in the survey, no
Well,
matter
that's-
how long you've been here.
Yeah, exactly. That's, I mean, if we want to start rating based on number of kids in school, we know everybody's going to have a different opinion, whether if you're 70 and a senior, as opposed to someone who's got 5 kids in the school system. This is always the tussle going back to when, and I'll give a perfect example of this. Back when 2.5 started, I happened to be in school, it was 1978 or 9, I think, 2.5 began. And one of the first votes out the gate to override 2.5 was a staunch clash between the senior community in Mendon and the, people who had children in the school system. Now, Mendon, being what it was at that time, considering there was only like 40 kids per class that were actually Mendon. You gotta remember, Mendon was a region. So there was only 40 children per class from Mendon, or maybe less, from Mendon, and the remainder were Upton children. So the 2.5 override, the senior community came out and voted against it. It was almost an impossibility the first 5 years to get a 2.5 override passed in Mendon, because the senior community was much larger than the school community at that time. So that began, believe it or not, was the payment to play in sports was originated in the 1980. That was the first year you had to pay to play in sports. It was only $25, but $25 in 1980 was quite a bit of money, especially if you had 2 or 3 kids in a particular sport. But I have no idea what the going rate is today and out of that.
And if it provides any context, sorry, Dominique, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just to get a little bit of context too of kind of where my brain came up with that question. For my business, one of the things that we do is look at analytics, right? You want to know not only the information that you're getting, but the information behind the scenes. So just to give an example, right? So if you use, whether it's school, let's say school age of children, right? So if you want to know how many people who took the survey have children versus don't have children, what that information could give you as an example is if you segmented all the people who had children out and they answered a question a certain way. So maybe they said recreation, right? I think we have a couple recreation questions, and say 95% of them said that they would rather have more recreation in the town of Mendon. And then as a subsequent result of maybe future surveys, and let me know if I'm wrong, but I think what we're trying to get to is the future of Mendon means we have to do X, Y, Z. Whatever X, Y, Z is, the surveys are intended to tell us, right? But say at the end of this process, we say, we need to attract more families, or we need to attract more businesses, or whatever this end result gets to. If you don't have the data at the front end to know what that population of people wants, then you can't answer the question unless you do another survey. Which, if that's the intention, I think that's fine. But just to give you, that was like a really small example, but it's not so much to pit one population against another. It's more so to say, once we have a goal and we know what we want to do from a perspective and know what's going to be best for the town, being able to pull out some of those data points can be really useful, because then it gives you, it's almost like a little pivot table where you can say, oh, wow, 95% of people in this specific population want this. So it's more of like a growth and trending type of thing, which if that's not the goal, then please, I didn't mean to start any debate or
Well, no, it is the goal as an overall community. My question is whether we want to segment it that far that now we're breaking the communities up into little, I mean, I deal with it. I'm like yourself in my business. I'm in the insurance business. Everything's analytics in my business. And, and I often find that breaking down data, dealing with my clients, it's almost to the point sometimes that they're just beating a dead horse. I mean, I've been in the insurance business 30 years, and I'm like, and I'll even say to some of my clients, give me an example of where you'd use this information. And I think that's kind of the point I have, is I'm not sure we're ever going to have the opportunity to break that down where there's a use for that data. And and I certainly understand we can collect it if everybody like, but I'm not sure what we'd ever do with that. Because I look at it as a community as a whole, and that's what I'm being careful with. We have a question from the audience in here. 1 second.
Yeah, I mean, with the last speaker, was that Jennifer?
Yeah, that was Jennifer.
Okay. I deal with a lot of market research, and I agree, it's not necessarily to, I think it would be a good baseline for us to have internally, because I think that we might find that there might be common things across the demographics that we really want to drive towards, as far as the master plan, not necessarily, the things that divide us, but I, if there is room in the survey, I think those two questions would be good to have as background data. And we can say background data only.
Yeah, but the thing you have to understand is we only have, this master plan committee is for planning purposes as far as land use, as far as recreation, as far as open space. This is an overall town plan as far as financial or wherever. So I guess my point is, where does that come into the scope of whether we want commercial or residential or yeah, I guess that's what I'm struggling with. We can certainly put those two questions in if you like. I'm not totally opposed to them. I'm just, we can look at the data later. I think I'm opposed to providing the data on how long people have lived here, because I haven't, like I said, I don't want to create this old Mendon, new Mendon situation. We're way past that now. I think Mendon has grown to the point where it's just Mendon now, and I'd like to leave it like that.
I think we have a couple of other.
Yeah, I think, who joined the meeting here? LM, is that Liana?
Yeah, I have been on.
Okay, all right, I gotta mark you down as here then.
Oh, sorry, I've been on for a while.
Yeah, I didn't notice when he came on board, but.
You probably weren't used to me being so quiet.
Yeah, that's never happened.
I just have a couple of minor comments / questions. The first one on number 5, I don't know why, but light pollution just like slaps me in the face as like, for some reason that it doesn't sit well with me. And I think because it doesn't fit in with like the other questions in that, or the other response choices. So I'm not sure why that would be in there, or if, or why so specific. If you're trying to get at, do people want more stringent regulations on environmental impacts, that I would understand, but I can't see anybody saying, yes, they want more light pollution. I'm not sure how we would decrease it. And, I guess if people say stay the same, fine. But there's something about it that just, it almost seems inflammatory to just like call out light pollution as against commercial development in some manner. So maybe a more generic, regulations on environmental, but I don't know. I would take it out altogether, but I can understand some people might want an environmental impact question in there. I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't really fit in there. There was a full question on that, but again, we tried to get it from the 80 questions that we thought would answer everything we needed to know down to the 30. So that kind of got tacked on there as, well, this is the closest place we can put something about this. So
the issue I have with that question, and I was kind of, I wasn't going to have my input on it. And number one, I own a commercial business in the commercial district. I tend to, my lighting's very low. It has no impact to anything around me. I tend to do that myself, but number one, we have, not only do we have regulations, but the state has lighting regulations. Each business needs an approved lighting plan, number two. And as everybody knows, with regulation becomes to be able to support that regulation, whether it be a zoning bylaw or general bylaw or whatever it remains to be seen. But those trying to restrict too much to the point where a person, as much as, we look at as a planning board lighting plans specifically. We make sure that the lighting is within the outlay of the commercial area. They're not supposed to, we have tests done when it's all completed. And, and there are, like I said, there are state regulations for some of this stuff. And to step outside of that, I think we're getting a very precarious. I mean, we can collect the data and people can have their opinion, but whether we're going to be able to do something once again with that opinion is, once again, we can't, we can't deny lighting. I mean,
could we strike that question? That aspect of the question, could we strike
my opinion, I would, because even as a planning board, we're not going to be able to defend that position if they meet our current lighting restrictions. And they follow sort of state guidelines regarding that. We're going to have the boards are going to be in a tough position to deny an application because people just don't want lighting. I mean, you have to have lighting. So
it's also kind of redundant to question 6. So you might be fine striking it.
I mean, it's certainly nice to know somebody's opinion about that. But like I said, whether it's just reference material or material I can do something with, I mean, we have a whole lot of changes coming through Chapter 48 right now that people aren't going to be familiar with in Mendon, but they're going to get a lesson soon. I mean, a lot of towns in this area are dealing with that right now.
And I would even be nervous about getting people's opinions on it, only because I think the question is so biased negative towards commercial industrial development. Like nobody's thinking light pollution residential, right? So it almost makes me think if they get to the, even if they want commercial and they see light pollution, they say, oh, wait, no, you're right. I don't want commercial then. Like it almost is so, like Bill said, there's not much we're going to be able to do with that information because we already are regulated, and that would be a whole separate, discussion on regulations for all these uses, right? Not just, you have setbacks, you have noise, you have wetlands, you have all these other impacts, right? So it just struck me as when you tuck it in there next to, hey, do you want more commercial? Hey, do you want more industrial? Hey, what about light pollution? It's like, whoa, wait a sec. I change, erase, no, and no, so that's the only reason why it really concerned me to even want to know what people think about it.
Yeah, and to be honest,
Sorry, go ahead.
to be honest with you, I get more complaints every year on residential lighting issues than I do on than commercial lighting issues, other than a couple major large businesses, which I haven't received any complaints recently. I think people have just gotten familiar with them. But
I can make that edit, and unless there are some people, we still have more hands. If anybody feels like it's important to leave that in or rework it to have that question in.
Let's hear from a couple of these other. I think Kathy. Is that you, Kathy, that had your hand up?
Yep, it's me. Sorry about that. So I don't want to dial back too far, but in response to what information we collect, if we add one or two questions that include a little bit more information about people's background, I think when you're asked to do a survey and you ask questions of people, it kind of builds a bridge. To invite people to come into the survey and really share their opinions. So, we may never use that information in the future, but just by, making a little more personal for each person that fills out the survey, I think is a great way to build interest and, in the survey itself.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, you may be absolutely right, Kathy. I don't disagree with that. I mean, everybody, people certainly who have kids in the school, if they say got 5 kids in the school, it might prompt them more to make sure they complete the survey. So
yeah, okay.
And I'll say too, the questions or the items that I threw out, I honestly just threw them together. So I'm not saying that like we can change them however we want to. It's more so the two things that I were thinking is kind of identifying, if we're looking 10 years out, you might want to know who's leading the community in the next 10 years. So then if you can segment that out, then you can say 90% of people who will be here in 20 years are looking at this. Why is that happening? Why is that trend taking place? So
I got another hand up here.
Demographic questions.
Tony, did you have a question?
Yeah, I thought that, Dominique, I thought you guys did an excellent job really condensing this and moving some questions into, 1 or 2 questions instead of 8. I did have a couple questions though looking through this. I noticed that number 4 had been removed. And this had to do with how do you rate the following public facilities and services? And it was the excellent, good, fair, poor, don't know. And it listed arterial roads, local streets, sidewalks, etc. I was just kind of curious as to your thoughts on that. To me, that sounds like it might be kind of important for future planning.
Super duper important. I did take it out for a specific reason though. So that there, as a reminder to everybody, so that we only had the funding to do the first 3 chapters, 3 distinct chapters of the plan. So Bill and I worked together to submit a grant application a couple of weeks ago to hopefully get funding to do the rest of the chapters. But this survey was intended just to be focused on the chapters we're working on right now. So there is going to be a town facilities and services question chapter. So we'll go into serious depth. The only reason that was in there is because I used another town's survey that I thought I was happy with how it turned out as a model, and they had thrown that question in there and we went with it. But it's not something I would have normally had with this set of questions.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah, that works for me. And then the second question I had to do with number 17 of the most recent version, and this was, what specific parcels of land do you think should be a top priority for protection? And you kind of go on, to describe it. So my question is this is someone who's looking at this for the first time. Is the question asking about any parcel in the town? So if I think that Bill's house and land should be protected, do I list that, or is it talking about town specific land now? Like, If I was someone reading this, I might be a little confused with that one.
I put this back to the committee. So this one was included, I think, trying to help out the Open Space and Recreation Committee who's working on their updated plan. They had wanted some questions put in that would help satisfy their survey and outreach requirements. So how do you guys?
Oh, she stalled.
Oh, sorry, I'm still on and now I'm muted. I had a similar overlapping question, but I think the way I read that to answer the specific speaker's question is that if you saw property around town that, you know, could eventually within the next 5 years come up for sale, say like a beautiful farm piece of property that, you know, the people are, you know, elderly and, you know, might be in the market to sell it within the next 5 years, like you're going to list that and say, hey, we want to keep the Smith's farm protected. So that's what we'd be interested. You know, and Bill's house, I'm sure is very lovely. So that might be up there too. You know, I don't know. He's probably gonna be off to the cave soon. So that's the way I read that. But if I could kind of tag on my question with that question, I kind of got confused because in questions 6 and 9, we asked people, do they think land should be protected? And then in 17, we assume that there is land that people want protected. So which kind of might give us mixed results where people are saying, no, 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 we don't want any more protected or conserved land. And then, okay, if you're going to ask me what I think could be protected, here is the land. And so I'm not sure that might give us an inconsistent result in some instances. Would it be possible to throw that open box question in number 9, which is the question is, do you think the town should spend money on protecting land? And then if yes, you know, is there a specific, you know, land you have in mind, you know, to invest in? I'm just afraid because it's a few questions removed from questions 6 and 9, which say, hey, do you even think the town should spend any more money in protecting these lands? And then 17 is basically assuming that we are going to be spending money to protect land, and which one do you want it to protect?
I think that SurveyMonkey would allow me to create such a if yes then follow-up question. That shouldn't be a problem. It seems like a logical solution. How does the rest of the committee feel about that?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Leanna, what do you think?
No, I love that. Yeah, because right under 9, it's like, hey, do you think we should protect land? Yes, 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 no. And then, you know, this way, if yes, hey, you got any suggestions on which land we should be focusing on? Makes, you know, perfect sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Leanna,
Yeah.
can you leave your law degree at home? You're making my head hurt.
Sorry. You know why? It's just because this is the way I would answer it. I'd be like, you know, no, I don't want to protect any more land. Oh, what do you think is an interesting piece of land? Okay, you know, I like that farmland. So I might be the person that gives you that inconsistent result that you're like, who the hell answered this? Like, who would say no, but then still give me the name of a piece of property that could be conserved? It would be me, Bill. So like, I'm basically protecting you against me.
All right.
Anybody else have questions, thoughts, comments? We are going to do a final round of proofreading for typos, things like that.
Yeah, if there isn't, I'd like to move forward and, you know, propose this as amended with the discussion tonight. You know, if you want to put those 2 data points in that Jennifer recommended, put those back in, make the necessary other changes we discussed, and let's approve it tonight as amended. You can forward me a copy as soon as you've done your proofreading and spell checking and all that happy stuff. And I've got notes on what we talked about tonight, and then we can move forward and get this baby out there.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Sounds like
Aye.
we're unanimous. Who made the motion? Actually, it wasn't me who made the
Who
motion.
made the motion?
I made the motion, right. I made the motion as amended. It was seconded by who? That's what I meant.
Kathy.
Yeah.
Kathy, seconded. And everybody approved. So I think we're good. That question that I just got from, was that you, Jennifer, or that asked what the deadline is?
I
Oh,
didn't
that was
ask.
Kathleen. I'm sorry. Kathleen's sitting right in front of me and I couldn't remember. It's called old age. But it's yeah, the question is, are we gonna put a due date on this thing? I mean, I think we need to start getting a move on with workshops and stuff like that. I know it is summertime, so it's gonna be a little more difficult. So I would probably put the end of July. That gives us a month to put the data together and start our workshops in September. Does that work for you, Dominique? Or is
The
that
end
too
of-
long?
The end of July, that certainly works for me. I will tell you what I'm doing with one other town I'm working with. So they didn't have the responses that they wanted at first. So, we had what I would consider an adequate sample to start to come up with some policy recommendations, but it wasn't as significant as they would like. So we removed the end date and the deadline and just kept the survey open. We'll keep on collecting responses. Meanwhile, we have enough information, it's not going to sway wildly, right? To start coming up with some ideas. So you could, what did July 30th, or you could just.
We don't have to put an end date on this thing. We can just leave it up there and allow people to fill it out. And, we'll gather data as we go. And then, yeah, I think we should. I do think we should announce that we're going to begin workshops in September, and then sometime, at the end of July, we got to really, talk about the workshops, the materials we're going to need, gathering everything together, how we're going to run the workshop, and whether we do them here, whether we do them at some town, we can start running some social events too, maybe gatherings at particular locations, whether it be restaurants or businesses or whatever, memorial ball field, town soccer fields. We can certainly across the winter, we'll have access to fall and winter sports, I think, which will be a big help for the school community.
And we should be starting to get back into our fall fairs and stuff like that too.
Yeah, we'll have the country fair, obviously, and what's another opportunity is some of the farms we have now. Van der Valk, they have wine and blueberry tastings. Daniel's Farm, which actually happens to be in Blackstone, right over the line, has farmers market every Sunday. Of course, why am I drawing a blank? I've known him my whole life. Up on Quistit, I don't know what they call the farm now, but it wasn't Quistit originally. No, I don't know what they call it now, but they have outings going on there also.
Cedar Hill.
Cedarville?
Cedar Hill.
Cedar Hill, okay. Yeah, so, I think those are all great opportunities to get get interaction with the community and discuss what their opinions are, and maybe even we can talk to a couple of them. And I know Van der Valk would probably allow us actually to have a little workshop up there and set up a table and run something there that would probably, and he'd probably allow us to do that across the winter. He sells Christmas trees too. So he has a huge Christmas rush also. I think these are all great opportunities. I mean, I showed you all these places when you came to visit me.
I know, and I am enchanted by the town. It's such a beautiful place. Okay, so this sounds like we have a workable plan then. We are going to run the survey as long as it takes, but try to put it like at least an internal push to have the results that we want to have by the end of July so we can start coming up with some other stuff. It gives a month, you know, if you need to keep it open 3 months, we'll keep it open 3 months. But
We'll just leave it out there and, you know, and we can continue gathering the data. And then, but in the meantime, we'll begin the workshops, setting up the workshops. I think August will be a big month for that. And, you know, and we'll do a lot by email because I think, you know, I don't want to tie up everybody's time. I think once a month meeting, because we certainly, once we start doing workshops, we're going to require a little more time. We'll have to be at the workshops. Plus, we'll have to have a meeting to determine what the next workshop is going to be. And
so if you do the first workshop in August, I'll be able to be there in person, which would be wonderful to meet all of you.
Sure.
Okay, great. And what would you have for your next meeting date?
Well, it's a good question. Let me go to my calendar here. Trusty calendar. Let me ask a question. What night works best for everybody? Is it Monday or Wednesday?
Mondays for me.
Beautiful, because I like Mondays too. What's the date today? We can either do July 19th or August. No, we can't do August. Well, I could do it remotely. I'll be away. I'll be down the Cape August 2nd. But is July 19th, or would you rather wait to the 2nd when we have some data? It's up to you guys.
It makes more sense.
Vacation, but whatever works. I was gonna say I'd prefer the 2nd because I'm on vacation before that, but it's totally up to the group, whatever works for everybody.
I think it makes more sense because otherwise we'll have to meet again to go over the data. So it makes more sense just to meet in August.
Why don't we plan on August 2nd? 7 p.m. Instead of me having to be a handoff, Dominique, could you send that agenda directly to Ellen, please?
Absolutely.
That way she can post them right up because, you know, I get tied up with so many things right now that I may miss an email. Sometimes I don't get on my Mendon email for 3 or 4 days, depends on what's going on.
Yeah, there's no point having multiple people touch the same document just to pass it on. I'll work directly with Ellen on that. I will reach out directly to Jennifer with some poster materials. Do you want me to disseminate those sort of outreach materials to the committee as a whole, or do you want to do that?
No, you can do it directly to them. What I'll do is, first of all, I'm going to work on see if we can get the contact group up, and then I'll send you a link to the contact group. But if not, I will send you a list of you guys can make your own contact group up there. I'll send you a list of everybody's name and email address, and you can send it out to the committee as a whole.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Bill.
Just in case for some reason I'm not around, it'd be better that you did that anyhow. So
Should I continue to do Teams links for the time being?
Yes, until we decide not to anymore, which is going to be very soon. I don't think we can achieve what we want to trying to do this through Teams all the time. I think we're going to need, interaction. There may be some work we're doing as far as, and I think it's just better if we all get together and work personally. I'm not a scared, so.
There's nothing else on my list of things I wanted to talk to everybody about
Okay.
tonight.
Does anybody else have anything?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, I may not. I'll look for a second. We got a second in Lisa.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
All right.
Good
Good
night.
night, folks. Great job.
All right, we'll see you later.